Welcome to the October Fireside Chat. I'm joined by one of the most impactful and omnipresent Pathfinder enthusiasts I know, Lucas Servideo. Lucas brings his resourcefulness and creativity to so many aspects of this hobby, from in-person memes like Drengildrang's head in a jar, to his multiple efforts to encourage younger fans to try Pathfinder. Lately, he's been painting up a storm and sharing his finished miniatures online as part of Painttober 2025. Lucas, welcome back to No Direction.
Thanks for having me back, Ryan. Glad to be here. I thought it was interesting that you had me on for this subject because, it is a Pathfinder show, and sometimes I don't paint Pathfinder.
So let me walk you through what I was thinking, because we're all at Pathfinder Quest this month, and Pathfinder Quest has a whole bunch of miniatures in the box. That was one of the selling points, that there was close to 100 original miniatures tied into the game. So originally I was like, well, I should talk to like a professional miniature painter and bring them on the show, and they'll get tips for people painting the miniatures. But like I did the math, and I'm like, we need more quantity than quality. Like a professional painter will get people to their finished miniature will be that much better. But I think when people who backed Pathfinder Quest get their 100 miniatures and realize like, oh, this is a big chunk of miniatures, how am I going to handle the logistics of painting these to even a basic quantity? And that's where I think, like, not to say that you don't bring quality, but the fact that you do a finished miniature of an above average but achievable by the average fan for your miniatures, that's why I thought you were the great guest for this month.
Oh, thank you. I have been told I am a great tabletop mini painter by a couple professional friends that paint
Oh, wow.
miniatures. So I'm good for getting quick minis out for the tabletop. So like I will paint things for a scenario that I start painting on a Thursday for a game on Saturday and
Okay.
get them ready for the tabletop. And I developed my own kind of speed technique for getting them done. But I also tend not to sleep much, and I tend to just focus on those miniatures for 2 hours and kind of batch paint
Okay.
as I do it.
Well, we're not going to recommend that people don't sleep, sorry. Do paint, don't sleep. But like, just to compare it to me, so this is the miniature, this is the character I'm playing in my current campaign that's been going for about 5 months now. And as of session 2, I got this miniature from Hero Forge, and then we've got a 3D printer in the group. So it was printed by the second session. And I just have it in my head like, oh, just one Sunday, I'll bust out the paints. I'll even like let my daughters paint some of my extra miniatures, and we'll make a day of it. And it's just making the day of it is the part of the plan that I haven't done. So yeah, I just want to kind of pick your brain of you've been painting a miniature a day for Painttober. Actually, let's take a step back and start there. Painttober, what is it? How did you get involved in it?
I'm big on the Reaper Discord, so I follow that. I participate in their Reaper Challenge League, where you paint miniatures, you earn points, and you can get Reaper gift certificates.
Cool.
So and certain minis are worth certain points, but it's you're only painting Reaper miniatures. So one of the members of the community put up Painttober based on like Inktober and Drawtober and or Drawloween or whatever the other
Oh, I'm
31-day challenges are.
participating in one, and I'm just going to queue up because I forget the name, but it is not nearly as memorable as some of the other ones. I am doing Phantasmicaloween.
So what is that challenge?
That is drawing a day. And so what I've been doing normally, like we've got the calendar for the family, and normally I just cross it out and I try and like do like seasonal colors for the X's that I put over the dates. So this month I am just drawing the next prompt into the little calendar box, because I am not an artist, but I believe that with a tiny canvas, I can convey an idea. So it's Pumpkin Ghost was the first one. Whimsical Witch was a fun one. It's basically an Inktober without the association with the people that kind of stole the Inktober name.
Yeah.
But listening to the way Reaper is doing that, I kind of hope Paizo does something similar, because I think that's a good way that people will be able to paint their Pathfinder Quest miniatures and build a community around that part of the game. Since playing the game is only part of the hobby, and that's true of a tabletop version, like a board game version of Pathfinder, and the role playing game.
Yeah, I actually think that painting miniatures is a very big subset of the Pathfinder role-playing game as well as now Pathfinder Quests, because you need those miniatures to play the game. And I have seen people play games with miniatures unpainted, and
Makes you a little sad.
that that's a choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it makes me a little sad. Like when people bring an unpainted white miniature to the table. Or we had a guy that did custom miniatures from Hero Forge, paid to get them printed, and had them in whites, and never painted any of them.
I like I can't judge, but
No,
I
but
can say the intent. This is not the finished product. I do have plans or hopes.
yeah.
So let's talk about plans then. So you've got this challenge that you are participating in, and you want to make sure that
hmm
you're putting out a miniature a day. So what does that look like? How do you meet those goals?
Well, when I found out about it on October 1st.
Hmm.
They were actually a day late for for posting it up. They were supposed to post it at the end of September. And I found out about it, and I immediately rushed to paint a miniature that I had sitting around, which was a flying mouse.
Cute.
Yeah, adorable. I got that from Impact Minis at Gen Con, and it was a rare mini because I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute, cool. I have never seen a flying mouse before like that. So I painted that up real quick, posted it. Then I needed something for Moon, and I wanted something simple because I had a lot of stuff planned on the next day. So I found a moon-shaped shield and a hammer, and I just painted that. Then after that, I chose every mini and I prepped the first 20 days.
Like the miniatures are just all in a row on a shelf based on the
Yeah,
prompts.
they
Okay.
they were based like up on the top of my desk. I had a little shelf, and that's where they were, so I could grab them and pull them down.
All right. So
And
now translating that into how it could work for Pathfinder Quest, I suspect the miniatures will be marked off as like at what point in the quest you're most likely to encounter them. And so I guess people can line them up by CR, and then just kind of go down the line in that way.
you could also line it up as player characters.
Okay. Go on.
So start off with player characters first. So paint whatever the heroes are, then go with first level of quests, second level of quests, and go like that. You can also do it by color. Like sometimes when I'm painting batch monsters, I choose colors. So if I know I'm going to be painting a bunch of devils and I'm painting red, I take anything that I'm painting that needs red in it and I do it that way.
And are you like, you don't feel that, oh, I used the same red for things of like maybe slightly different theme, like there's a red armor and a red skinned devil. You're okay with that?
I am. I, but I have a background in artist. I have an artist background. I used to be a graphic designer. So I'm good at blending colors. So if I'm using black, white, red, green, and blue, I will mix colors together. So while I have that same red out, I might mix a little blue to give it a purple tint, or I might add a little white to it to lighten it up, or add a little black to make it more of a brown, so it has a different feel to it. That little kind of shading and little kind of touch does make a difference.
Now, what paints do you use? Do you use the squirt bottles?
I use Reaper, the standard Reaper, actually, and those have the little dropper bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like I do have all my shades are the Citadels,
And that's
but I
like
hate,
watered down, right? That's
yeah,
you
that's the
apply it
watered
after.
down. Yeah, you apply after it's a wash. And I use all my Citadels for the washes. I find that they make a great wash. Other than that, I don't use anything else of Citadel because I've had somebody gave me a full set of Citadel colors, and within 6, 7 months, Most of them were dried out because the cap didn't close right. And I just, I know there's ways to fix it, but I was like, I'm done. I just like the dropper bottles because they seal better. And I also use Monument Hobbies, which has a similar dropper bottle but a different top.
Okay, I don't know Monument Hobbies. What differentiates them from other paints?
They have a very heavy pigment, so their colors are very vibrant. They also have a very basic naming convention.
So
So you
just
have dark green,
all right.
green, light green, light bronze, and they have basic color names. So it actually works out really well.
But I
And
like
you know what you're grabbing.
memorizing that ultramarine is slightly darker than cerulean.
Yeah. It's weird with the Reaper ones. It's like you have Harvest Orange. Harvest Orange is a metallic orange. Then they have Pumpkin Orange, which is just a bright orange. Then they have Fireball Orange, which is another orange. I like the simplicity of the Monument Hobbies. Plus, I like their pigment because it makes everything really vibrant.
Now, the majority of the miniatures I have painted was when I was into Warhammer. So, like, that was a long time ago. I've gotten out of it. And yet, even with all of the RPG related miniatures that I've painted, the Warhammer one still, like, quantity wise, outnumbers them. And I just remember reading White Dwarf magazine and them saying, like, now mix these colors. And I'm looking at the pots that have, like, the screw top and they're just like unrelated colors. I'm like, what do you mean mix them? So when I was actually gifted a set of Reaper paints from Brian Stiltz, who used to work at Reaper Miniatures. And yeah, once I got the squirt bottles and I realized that's how you can mix and it makes highlighting a lot easier, like that,
Oh, yeah.
I cannot see myself ever going back.
Yeah. And if you have a wet palette, you can mix live and it works a lot better.
So I don't
So,
have a wet palette. I just have dollar store, the thing you pour the paint into, like a bunch of little pots. It's an artist
yeah.
thing. What's that
Yeah. No,
called?
it's just a palette.
It's just
Um,
okay.
yeah, just a palette. One of the things you might want to try, which is actually really good, and I've been using that when I travel, is the silicone poppers, the fidget
Sil-
poppers,
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry,
the
I was
ones that have
thinking
the little,
Citadel. As I thought we were
no,
talking about Games Workshop again. Yeah, sorry, silicone poppers. Yes.
those are great because you can actually, when the paint dries, you could just pop out the paint chip and then you
Okay,
can just do a quick wash.
that's good. I
So
don't have to get the nail polish remover out.
right. And I've been using those when I travel because
Okay,
sometimes because I have a travel set that I bring when I travel to a different state for training.
okay,
So I can paint while I'm away.
and yeah, that's clever because you could squish it in. Like you don't have to worry about it breaking,
Yeah.
and you can get them for super cheap. I like that. All right, I'm learning. Can we go back to wet palettes? I've heard
Yeah.
about these for years. Param used to always tell me how great they were. I've never even tried one. I really don't understand what a wet palette is.
A wet palette is something, so if you're doing a long day of painting, like usually you thin your paints. You put a little bit of water in there. They suggest DI water or, some sort of water that doesn't have contaminants.
Oh, I
Or they
use
have a
contaminated water, I guess.
yes, so do I. But I also use paint. They have a paint thinner that you could put in there as well. But now that I'm in a lab, I kind of get some DI water from the lab that I work in. Um, but you mix that on there. But if you're going to be painting like all day, the wet palette has a sponge in there and then a coating, a sheet of paper on there that keeps your paint wet, so you don't have to keep adding that because it picks up the moisture from through the sheet of paper from the sponge, and then all you have to do is add a little bit of water to the sponge while you're painting, and you can keep painting with the wet, and you can actually mix better because you can actually see where you're going on the wet palette.
And once I'm done, like what's the upkeep like on a wet palette?
Well, if you need the same colors for a couple of days, some painters I know leave their wet palette for like a week and then they wash them off because a lot of the newer like parchment paper that they have with the palette are washable. So you could just rinse it under the sink, Rinse out the sponge, wash out the tray, and you're good to go.
And is this something you can use for years, or you'll
Yeah.
replace it after? Oh, okay.
No, you'll replace the sponge after a while because the sponge will get funky. Like they definitely suggest using putting copper in your wet palette.
Putting
So it
copper in it?
yeah, it helps with keeping the mold out.
But does that just mean putting a penny on it, or
Older style pennies can work. Game Envy actually sells these little corner pieces
okay?
that hold down the paper in the wet palette so it doesn't curl up on you, but they're also made of copper, so they keep your
Yeah, it does
wet
two
palette.
jobs at once.
Yeah,
All right, cool. So these are some of the things that people that are, planning for their Pathfinder Quest miniatures, which are supposed to come before the end of the year, which is only a couple of months away. But
which is cool because they're coming so quickly.
yes, so that only gives them a couple of months to prepare. So we've talked about some of the supplies they need. How about space? How much space do you think about 100 miniatures is going to take up?
It depends.
Okay.
Like really, 100 miniatures could take a large amount, especially monsters. Like, and how are you going to store them? I use tackle boxes with foam for my miniatures when I store them, but the bones are also a more durable plastic. I also have miniature figure cases that you can get on Amazon or in your friendly local gaming store that have foam cutouts specifically for the sizes of miniatures.
So, but your painted miniatures, they all go into storage. You don't have a shelf with everything on display?
I actually have my wife got me for a present a curio cabinet
Oh,
that
nice.
has a large amount of my miniatures in there. And then I have mini boxes that have the foam that for the ones I take. Like if I know my game is going to require cultists, I put all my cultists in this. I do need another curio cabinet, but I have my better minis and, in this cabinet that's like 6.5 feet tall. And underneath, I have all my extra paints that I rotate out every once in a while.
So let's talk about, are there any tips that you wish you had when you were first getting into miniatures?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. Um, a lot of people look at miniatures that people are painting like professionals you see online, and they think, oh, my miniature needs to look like that. Your miniature doesn't have to be perfect. Like, are you having fun painting your miniature?
Yes.
If you are having fun painting your miniature, that's all you need to do. Are you happy with the way the miniature looks? Yes, then you're good to go. That was one of the things that I didn't get at the beginning, and I would spend hours painting a miniature just for tabletop, and I would screw up and I would clean it and repaint it. And that really stressed me out. And then I was like, you know something? If I'm happy with the way it looks, that's the way I'm going to keep it.
When I was doing Warhammer miniatures again, one thing that I kept judging myself for is that like my 100th miniature, when I have a lot more practice and have developed new techniques and stuff, I will then compare it to, my 10th miniature and be like, oh, this old one doesn't live up to the new standards. And so I've got to start over on it, or I've got to start brushing up on it. And that was probably a bigger deal because, in an army, you want a certain amount of uniformity. But that is something that I had to get over when I started doing RPG stuff. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you've got one high quality guy on the table and some that are maybe not your best work, but they're done and they
Yeah.
stand out.
Like I don't care if player has a miniature that only has basic colors on it. Like they have a dab of flesh tone for the face, they have black for the hair, they have silver for the chest, and silver for the sword, and they're done. They put paint on the mini, they tried, they're happy with it, they're good to go. They tried, and I think that's great. I think that is one of the best things that people can do is that they try it, they understand that, it's not going to be great at the beginning, but they tried it and they're happy with what they did. You can learn and get better as you go along. Like I've been painting since
Math.
2012 is when I started painting my first minis in December of 2012.
Oh wow. Like I'm just
And
impressed you got it right down to the month that you started.
well, I what I do is every like th 2, 3 years, I get three of the miniatures that I painted originally and I repaint them.
Oh, cool.
So like I want to see how I did for progress, but I don't want to do the same miniatures. So I will pick, a couple that I did and go, all right, here's this one. I'm going to paint this. And this is what this one looks the first time. This one looks the second time, and this one's the third time. So there's some
And
I have,
no,
and
no,
I
go on.
see the progress of like, oh, look at the eyes. Look how bad I did the eyes on this one, but look at the eyes on this one. Look at the shading I did. Look at how I added layers to the beard. So it actually looks like a beard. It's not just straight gray.
That's really
You know,
cool.
oh,
There's
God.
no question. That is such a cool idea.
And when I hit 10 years for my minis, I actually found every miniature that I painted in the first year, and then I painted the same miniature over again for every miniature I did.
Wow. Do you have trouble finding some of the old ones?
I did. I
Okay.
did. I actually had a couple that I could not find, and then I found them after the fact because I put them in a box with my pre-painted miniatures, which are now down my basement collecting dust.
So you owned the miniatures already and you just didn't like I've just figured these are old miniatures you'd have to go and shop and maybe buy them secondhand. But no,
No, no,
you
no.
already owned it and you just
I
didn't
had
have
a
it.
bunch of them already because I was planning on this project.
Oh, okay.
But then there was a couple that I had to order from Reaper or I found and I said, "Hey, I don't have this mini. They don't sell it anymore. Can I, you know, borrow yours?" and asked a friend for it.
You don't really borrow a miniature that you're going to paint.
You do because then you give it back to somebody and you go, "Here, I painted this for you." But
You mentioned, go ahead.
people end up giving me the miniatures and said, "Here, keep it." And so, you know,
It is one of those hobbies, isn't it, where we all have
yeah,
bigger ideas than we have realistic time for, and
yeah,
somebody's painting miniatures and we're not. So you might as well give the miniature the joy that it's determined. Like in a Toy Story kind of way, these
yeah.
things deserve to be painted.
Oh, they do. And I've got a long list of miniatures to paint, and which is why I didn't back the quest. But I have a friend who backed the whole thing, so he's going to let me paint his miniatures.
Wow, that's nice of them.
Yeah, it was. I thought so. Because he didn't tell me until after it was done.
Good news, I've got a job for you.
Yeah, good news. I got a job for you, and you get to paint them so you can play the game with me. It's like,
Okay, now that's starting to
okay,
sound like there's he's scratching your back.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we've been going for about 20 minutes here. I think it's a good time to wrap it up. Is there anything you want to shout out to, like anywhere people can find you online that you want to bring attention to, or just something cool that you think people should know?
Um, I have my second quest coming out at the end of the month.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
Dr
Congratulations.
Dragon's Plea.
Nice.
Um, it is my second quest for Pathfinder. Um, and it's an all ages quest.
Are,
And I actually made a custom miniature for that one.
oh, cool. So let me go back a step. Are they rating quests by age now?
No, they what they did is uh, Josh Foster, um,
I was going to
and
say
I had
Josh
been
Frost. That's a
yeah,
name
no,
I haven't heard in a long time.
yeah, no, that's a name that is from the Wayback Machine because
Yeah.
he was the OP manager when I started organized play.
Yeah, like at season 0.
Right. So when I started organized play, that was my contact when I was trying to get into it. But no, him and I talked to Gen Con about, what would be good for a line for, Pathfinder adventures. And I said, well, what about all ages? Because we've been doing Academy and we had been adapting existing scenarios that weren't really always PG-13. And he ended up thinking about it and came up with the all ages tag for the quests. So the
Nice.
quests are ready for anyone. There's more silliness than violence. They're meant for anyone. You could pull it with your family and play for all ages people. And I've got two done. And with the quest line ending, because they don't need it anymore, because they're switching the length of scenarios to 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, to make it easier to schedule at game stores, which makes more sense. They don't need the quest line anymore. So, but I was told that they're going to be working the all ages more into the scenarios because they
Because
want
it's a
more
great
people to
idea.
play. It is. And, there's 6 all ages scenarios out there, and I'm writing the last one for the all ages.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Congratulations. And
no,
Dragon's Plea, that's intrigues me, and just the title alone I think would be enough to get my daughters excited.
it should be good. There's a couple interesting characters, and I'll show you the mini for one after
Right.
because I don't
Okay.
want to spoil it for other people.
Fair. Sorry,
But
listeners. This is just between me and Lucas.
yeah, I don't want to spoil it. Yeah.
Let's wrap this up then. So
Okay.
when is Dragon's Plea coming out?
It's coming out in next week.
Oh, wow. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So it's going to be right before Halloween.
Cool. All right. Well, once again, congratulations and thank you for this, Lucas. I know I definitely need to get a wet palette. This is something that I've been told for years, but you finally convinced me why I have to do it. And I think just in general, like you've given us a lot of good tips that people can put towards making their miniatures, like enhancing the miniature side of this hobby.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm glad to help out, and people can reach out to me. I'll send you my updated contact information.
Cool. Thank you. And I'll include it in the show notes. Thank you for joining me for another installment of No Direction. If you liked what you saw, like the video. If you really liked what you saw, subscribe. And if you really, really liked what you saw, you can go to patreon.com/no direction and support us, financially. Until next time, I'm Ryan Costello, and if you want to find the path, you need no direction.